Welcome to our 8th QBasic programming lesson. As you can see on your screen, today's lesson emphasizes on the other way to declare a variable in QBasic. At the end of this lesson, participants will understand the following: the other way to declare a variable with practical example, which is very important. When we understand the way Imana responds to how we can declare a variable, as we learn in Module 2, Lesson 7, where we then talk about identifying, a variable, respond to whether a variable is a string or is an integer. There is another way that one can also follow to declare a variable, in which we are going to look at that. So what is that way? What is the other way of declaring a variable? For you to better understand, look at this. To declare a variable, one can choose to go ahead. You can use let or you can use dem. So when you say dem, then you bring the variable name. Okay, so the name, then you call it as what? String. So when you say the name of your variable, you bring it any name at all, but remember that the name you want to use, the name shouldn't be a reserved name. The name you want to use here, it shouldn't be a reserved name. Simply put, that shouldn't be a QBasic command, which we've talked about that in lesson 6, that you must know. In addition to that, also you must also know that anytime you bring the name, you can choose to bring the variable symbols attached to it, or you can equally also ignore it, and that is what we want to look at. So this way we are going to ignore the variables symbols, okay, by only dwelling on the name. So you can equally say them, and then you bring the name, any name of course, then you can call it as as string. As you can see, you do the same thing for integer, then you do the same thing for long integer, you do the same thing for single float, you do the same thing to a double float, without you not bringing the symbol. Okay, now you understand this. So say, how can we demonstrate this? Now let's look at it practically, respond to how to demonstrate in a way, another way of declaring a variable. Having said that, let's dive straight to look at it practically. As you can see on the screen, this is what we dealt with to respond to the first way of writing my first program, and this is what we dealt with. So let's go ahead and save this as first program. So let's go ahead and then save this. But before then, I'll go ahead and press enter, and then click on file, and then go ahead and click on save as. Then after that, I'll go ahead and then give a name to my program. So I'll backspace that, and then I'll call it first. Okay, I just want to call it first Pro. Then I'll go ahead and click on OK. Then after that, I'll just go ahead and click on file and click on new. So having done that, now let's look at the best way or another way of declaring a variable as been explained. So first I'll go by saying dem, and I'll say num1 as integer. I'll go ahead and say dem again, and I'll say num2 also as long. Then I'll go ahead and say dem, then I'll say num3 as single. Now go ahead and go num again, then num4 as double. Then I'll go ahead and say dem num. Okay, let me do this because I want this one should be string, so I'll say heading as string, so I want the heading should be text. Now after I've done this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and then write my program. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to say heading. So I must make sure that the heading, how I spell it, is just like that. So I'll go ahead and say heading as, so the heading should display this text. Another way in declaring variables. So that is the data I have assigned to the heading. So anywhere I'll call this heading is going to display another way in declaring variables. Then I'll go ahead and then say num. So I'm assigning data to the num1 to the I'm assigning data to the variable, okay, for the variable name, which is very important. So I'll go ahead and say num1 is 5, and I'll go ahead and say num2 is long, so I have to do it like I'm going to do a long value, so 5,600 kind of. Then I'll go, let me make it okay, 5,600. Then I'll go num again, num3 is single, so single I can use like 45.7, something like that. And then num, so you can see here num4 is double, so I'll go like 6,600.78, something like this. So you see, so now I've assigned what the data to my variable. Now remember, I did not bring the symbols because I declared them by saying that num1 is an integer. So in the computer's memory, the computer then sees num1 as 5 as an integer, and then sees the memory then sees the num2 as long, and then sees num3 as single, which is 45.7, and then sees num4 as double, and you can see here num4 as double, and I just assign a double data to the num4, and then sees the heading, okay, as another way in declaring variables. Now let's go ahead and then complete this program to make it run for us. So we are going to say the program should print, okay, heading. The program should print the heading, okay, and then after printing the heading, you should go ahead and print this arithmetic calculation for me. The program should print num, so I want the num should display as a question, so should print num 1, it's not in caps, num 1 plus num 2 plus num 3 plus num 4. Okay, so you should add up num 1, num 2, num 4 for me. So having said that, now when I do this and then I run the program, let's do that. So click on run and I click on start. Okay, it's going to go ahead to execute what the output for me nicely. So let's wait for that, for it to just run. So as you can see, okay, it has run everything and give me the answer. Now to wrap it up, someone may ask us to say, what about we want to see the values, okay, being displayed, okay, in that order. If we want the value being displayed in that order. Now if you want the value to display in that order, what we must do is that we'll just press enter, and then let's clean this, just a quick one. So after cleaning that, I'll go by saying print, okay, num 1, and then I'll bring my quotes and bring plus and close the quotes. I will send it like that. So you can say print num 1 and bring the semicolon. After bringing semicolon, okay, you go ahead and bring the quotes and bring plus, so that the questions will display before the answer. Okay, then you bring a semicolon again, then you go ahead and say num 2 semicolon, then you bring your quotes and you bring your arithmetic operator plus, and then you bring your close quotes and you bring your semicolon again, in that manner. So let me complete that. So you see, then I'll bring the quotes where I'll go ahead and bring my open quotes and bring the equal to sign, close quotes. Okay, then now I would like the arithmetic operator to just continue, so I'll just go repeat the same thing. Num 1 plus, so this arithmetic operator to just perform the calculation for me. Num 1 plus num 2 plus num 3 plus num 4, and I'll press enter. So after doing that, when I go ahead and click on run and then click on start, the program is going to display the question and then perform and then display the calculation also as well. So you can see here, as you can see here, now you could watch that here. You can see that num 1 we said is 5, which is here. Num 2 we said is 5,600, which is here. And then num 3 we say is 45.7, which is here. And then num 4, which is double, is what is here. And at the end of the day, the program went ahead and then execute another way in declaring variable and then perform the calculation for me as well. So that is what it is so far as another way of declaring a variable is concerned. As always, that is just that.
Armstrong and training and software hub, we're leading the way, bringing our ICT to your doorstep every day. Where vision meets excellence, we stand strong, transforming students where they belong. Armstrong and training, Armstrong and training.